How to Sell Land for Sale by Owner. For 3 decades, I've been involved with my student investors, and they all struggle to sell real estate. Why do they struggle? Well, it seems everyone hates to hear the word no. And as a seller, you must accept a few responses that are going to be no. So people don't like to sell things because they don't want to hear people say no. So another challenge they have is land is a challenge in itself because the appraisal can be so different. Evaluating land is much different than trying to evaluate basic real estate. So let's learn some steps on how to sell land for sale by owner. So 30 years ago, when I discovered tax defaulted real estate, I realized it was a business I could buy for pennies on the dollar. That meaning I could buy it for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar and never even have a mortgage or a deed of trust loan. I knew that I'd never look back, and I never did. So later in this episode, I'll reveal some details on a subset of the traditional real estate called tax defaulted real estate and show you the same thing. Now, most of us know traditional real estate as being homes. It could be small apartment properties, small farms, could be residential real estate, which is, by that I mean vacant lots. It could be that are buildable. And it could be small acreages of 3 to 5 acres and that kind of thing. All right, so how are you going to sell this if it's how to sell land for sale by owner? Well, it's a different ballgame, a much different one. So thousands of people are employed in real estate. Now, who's employed there? There's brokers, there's bankers, there's agents, there's handymen, there's plumbers, there's carpenters. In other words, everything from roofers to handymen are trying to sell real estate. All right, now I mentioned that my specialty is tax defaulted real estate. Now this requires a different mindset. Why? Because what happens is people are going to default and haven't paid their taxes. They might not have taken care of their property. Maybe it was a little used and abused, or maybe it wasn't very good at all. Okay, but the key to all real estate is the same thing. You need to let the world know that you want to sell your property. That means you're going to have to advertise the availability of it being for sale. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's land or it could be residential real estate. It's not going to sell itself. I will guarantee you real estate won't sell itself. According to the National Association, 90% of the properties are listed, but about 11% of the properties don't sell on the regular listings. So how do they sell? Well, let's talk about that. Okay, I'm recommending that you use every possible site that you can think of. Now, what are some of the sites you should think about? Just think media in your mind. Craigslist is a media. Facebook Marketplace is a media. eBay is a media. Trulia is a media. Zillow is a media. You always want to be thinking of different places you can do it. Now, if you're going to sell land and you're going to do it for sale by owner, that doesn't keep you from using all of those different media. You want to use as much media as possible. A sign on the property is media. Okay, signs around the neighborhood, that's media. You're going to have to do a lot of media if you expect to sell a property. It's not going to happen and the property sell itself. All right, so every electronic media that you can find, you should be trying to use those media to sell the property. So for sale by owner is not unusual by any means. All right, selling in your regular neighborhoods, that's where people sell residential. If you're going to sell land, you're going to have to broaden your view. You're going to have to go to more places. Everywhere you can market is a must. No matter where you can try. You can try land magazines. There's lots of land sites to do that. You want to make a point of trying to use every media possible. All right. Now, when you're trying to sell something, you have to tell the people what are the amenities to that property? What are the attributes that they want? Number one, people want a survey. They want to know what they're buying. All right. They'll want to know, does it have water? Does it have road frontage? Does it have power? All of those things are important with land. What kind of soil is it? What's the drainage? They're going to ask all those things if you're talking about land. Another thing that's very important is, will you finance the sale? Will you be the banker? Will you do installment sales? If you do, that needs to be in your advertising. So 30 years ago, I learned a little known business, but when I found out how highly profitable it was, because I could buy for 10 cents, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, Folks, I never looked back. That's all I ever wanted. Be able to buy it right. I knew I could sell it. How was I going to sell it? I was going to use all the media that I just mentioned, and I was willing to finance if the person wanted financing. Now, this is happening across the United States. Over 3,000 counties are selling tax defaulted property. Now, if we can sell tax defaulted property, then you can sell land. We sell the tax defaulted property because we buy it right, and then what we do is we bought it low, so we sell it low. But we use a lot of different ways to sell it. Now, using media is just normal for us. What are we going to use for media? All the ones that I just mentioned. Why not use Trulia? Why not use Craigslist? Why not use Zillow? Why not use the newspapers? Why not use signs? Every media possible you should use when you're trying to sell. All right, when a property owner defaults on the taxes, what happens is the property is taken away from them. Who takes it away? The county takes it away. You see, the legislature passed laws years ago that said everyone pays tax. If you don't pay the tax, the county treasurer will come along and confiscate the property. When they confiscate it, they don't want the property either, so they put it on the market. So they have tax defaulted auctions. Now, if you go to the tax defaulted auction list for your county, you will find 20% of the properties that are on the auction list will be properties that are land. Now, here's land that's going to be sold for 10 or 20 cents on the dollar, and guess what? There's no mortgage and no deed or trust loan. Over 3,000 counties are doing that today in America. All right, now why is the county selling the property? The county's going to sell it because they need revenue, because they have bills to pay. Who do they pay? They pay the firefighters. They pay the police department. They pay the schools. They pay for the teachers. Okay, they have lots of bills to pay. That comes from property tax revenue. So the legislature helps out the county. They made the rules. Everybody has to follow them. If they don't follow the rule and they don't pay the tax, well, then the county confiscates the property and they sell it. Of the properties they're going to sell, plenty of it will be land that you can buy for pennies on the dollar. All right, the legislature is the governing body for the state. That means they make the rules. And when they make the rules, everybody either follows them or they suffer the consequence. Now, the people that don't follow the rules are the ones that don't pay their taxes. So the county, because the legislature actually mandates that they do it, will go to that property. They'll issue a default notice. Once a notice has been issued, if the people don't pay the tax, they confiscate the property and they resell it. And once they resell it, they're going to sell it with no mortgage and no deed or trust loan. All right, so if you can buy properties for pennies on the dollar, 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar with no mortgage, how many would you want to buy? You would want to buy as many as you can. All right, the county is going to motivate you and incentivize you because they're going to drop the price 60, 70, 80% below the tax assessed value, and that's going to be the starting bid. Think about that, buying properties 60, 70, 80% discount. All right, so what am I talking about in this episode? I'm talking about how to sell land for sale by owner. Well, lots of science is going to go a long way. All right, now entrepreneurs start out because they want to be self-employed. Why do they want to be that way? Because maybe they don't fit into a corporate mold. Maybe what they want to do is do what they want to do when they want to do it, not be told by someone else. All right, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to have to think for yourself. When you think for yourself, you're going to have to use all of these different things that we're talking about today to sell your property. But every property is sellable if you price it right and you use the correct strategy. Now, the strategies I'm giving you are time tested. They've been done again and again and again. You're not going to be able to sell a property by doing one thing, putting a little sign out there. You're going to have to use all the media possible. So if you're one of those people and you're an entrepreneur and you're working 60 hours a week and you're going to stay an entrepreneur, I get it. Use all the things that we talked about and you're going to do well. All right, if you want to be a seller, you need to give the other party a competitive advantage. So what's the advantage that you could give them if you are buying tax defaulted property? Well, if you bought it for 20 cents, would you be willing to sell it for 50 or 60 cents? If you did that, you'd have a competitive advantage over everybody else in the market. So if you bought a piece of land at a low price at a tax auction, by that I mean you paid 20 cents on the dollar, and you sold it for 50 or 60 cents on the dollar, that would be a huge profit. If it didn't have a mortgage on it and it didn't have a deed of trust, that's giving everybody a competitive advantage. Now, these auctions have everything. They have junk. They have really good properties, and they have properties that just need to be cleaned up and people move into them, or the land is ready to go. The point is, I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit here because these are the good deals that everybody can find. All right, so think of what's happening in the marketplace. Target's in the market, Costco's in the market, Walmart's in the market. What do? They buy it low and sell it low. So why don't we do just exactly what they do? Let's buy it low, sell it low. Now we can sell land for sale by owner because we're going to be able to give a competitive advantage. My name is Ted Thomas, and right below me, if you'd like to have an auction list, right below me, there's an auction list, and all you have to do is apply for it.